Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your girl JoJo, and I'm here with the review for The Never Ever Mets. This is season 1, episode 4. I hope you guys are doing good today. I am doing well. So, I don't know if I'll be doing a lot of cursing for this review. I'm not really fired up. I'm not in a cursing mood. But I will be on my soapbox. So if y'all don't want to hear me be soapboxy, you might want to skip this review. A lot of things happen. I have a lot to say. So let's just jump right in and not waste too much time. Okay, so the episode actually started with Shay and Josh, but the episode always starts with like some type of moment between Shay and Josh. But I want to jump into this thing with Greg and Millie first. So they're in the bedroom and they're having a discussion, and Millie is talking about the importance of wanting to take her time. She doesn't really feel like the vibe that they had in the hot tub when he did the kiss was the right moment for him to kiss her. And she's just talking to Greg about how she wants to really make sure things happen organically and not rush everything. And Greg does agree with her. I don't want you to feel like it's being rushed. I want to do everything in the appropriate time. I want us to mesh together in the appropriate time. Now, I want y'all to look at Greg on this still shot and how he's looking at Millie. You see how she looks concerned, and Greg is looking like, I will kiss you again right now if you allow me to. I thought that part was funny, but I don't know exactly how they're going to figure this part out. I don't know if like Millie needs to take the lead and do what she's more comfortable with doing, or drop some hints. I'm not really sure when he's going to know the wins and what's to do what, but I hope he continues. I hope he listens to her and make sure he takes his time with her and not try to rush in on anything, because of course that will make her uncomfortable. So then we have Rashonda finally showing her face, and I'm like, girl, where have you been? All of this mess been going on, and you just now showing up with all these smiles. And you got a lot of work to do in this house. So she pulls Greg and Millie to the side first and talks to them about what's been going on in the house. Do they feel comfortable? I know there's been some arguments going on, and they say they feel okay. She asks about their connection, and Greg calls them fire and ice. I guess he's meaning that although they do have very different personalities, they're trying to blend it all together. He also talks about how he's just wanting to make sure things happen well between them. She's trying to get a little bit more of Millie's endpoint. I think Rashonda was kind of getting the idea that Greg might be a little bit more locked in and a little bit more all in than Millie is. And I don't really think that's the case, but I do think Millie's a lot more guarded than Greg, and she has her guard up a lot more. So Rashonda is kind of trying to get to the bottom of that. They are next to have family and friends come to visit, and Greg has his mom coming because he said he don't play about it. And Millie has her sister coming. Yeah, I know that she says that the more that she gets to know Greg, the more she's going to have to be vulnerable and reveal things about her past. So I guess we'll find out this episode or maybe the next episode. I'm actually still in the process of watching it. What traumatic has happened to her that she has to reveal to Greg that she's worried about. But it does come off that she's just a lot more guarded and a lot more concerned about how their interaction is going to flow. And it seems like she wants to make sure she's not being fooled and rushing in too early. That's the kind of vibes I'm getting from her. Not that she doesn't like him. Not even that she's not serious about it, but more like, if I were to get serious, are you really serious about me? Is a little bit more of what I'm getting, because y'all know, honey, it don't mean nothing to meet that mama. I done told y'all on here. I ain't got to say it again. It don't mean nothing to meet that mama, because she be in on the shenanigans as well. I know some dudes that's done let everybody meet their mama, honey. Jump offs, sides, wives, girlfriends. Child, the mama be with it. The mama be with it. So she's just moving into it a little bit more guarded. But what do you guys think about Greg and Millie? Do you feel like she's not into him, or do you feel like she's just more guarded? Which one do y'all think it is? Oh my goodness, y'all. I'm trying to get through this review. My throat is hurting and I'm a little concerned about it. Okay. So Diamond and Millie want to get to the bottom of this whole situation with Chris and Jodie. They believe there's too much kikiing going on. They're not alone in that sentiment, but they want to have a conversation with Sandia about it because they feel like they've noticed Sandia is a little frustrated. So they go to get Sandia, and this is where there were a lot of missteps in this whole interaction. So The first misstep to me was going to get Sandia in front of Chris. Now, I don't know if everybody has their phones or not. I don't know if there was any other way to say, hey, Sandia, girl, let me talk to you to the side. I don't know. But going upstairs to get her to talk alone while Chris was right there, I already knew that was going to be a bad idea because I knew Chris was going to ask why they were coming to get her, or worse, he was going to try to get over to where they were and eavesdrop, which I do believe he did. I don't have no proof, but I believe he eavesdropped a little bit. So Sandia's acting slow. She was like, you want to talk to me like now? And Aaron's like, yes, they want to talk to you, but by yourself. And she said, oh, okay. So she goes down with Diamond and Millie. And this was the second misstep in my opinion. I'm not saying that Diamond and Millie should have said nothing, because it's very hard witnessing another woman, especially a younger woman, because you kind of see yourself in her and you want to put her on game. Like, you want to let her know, hey, are you okay? Like, do you see what's going on right now? But you also, like, you're trying to tread lightly because you don't want to be accused of putting things in her head. You don't want to be accused of being messy, being a hater, all of this other stuff. I don't know. Like, I don't think they should have said nothing, but I'm kind of wondering if they should have, maybe asked more probing questions, like, how are you feeling about you and Chris? Is there anything that you're concerned about? And see if she brought it up. I don't know, y'all. I mean, I guess we ain't got too much time. You got to get straight to it. I don't know if they should have. I'm torn, because I'm like, on the one hand, I don't know if they should have involved themselves at all, because if Sandia's not going to say anything, but then also you feel like, do I just let my girl sit here and, feel a fool? Like, what do I do? What would y'all have done in this situation? Would you have said anything or not? I'm torn on this one. So they say something. They ask her how she feels about the situation. Like, do you feel like something's going on between Chris and Jodie? Because she's doing a lot of kikiing with your man, and should nobody be kikiing with your man? And Sandia's just like, yeah, there's a lot of joking. There is some flirting. Like, I'm not going to say that I have. I'm trying to do her little accent. Let me stop. I'm not going to say I haven't noticed it, but I definitely see something that's going on. And Diamond's just like, it's not something that should be happening. But if you want to say something, like, we got your back. Do you want me to say something? Or if you want to say something, that's fine. We got your back. Diamond, we definitely don't need you or Millie saying anything to Jodie. Let Sandia handle her own business. Because Diamond was like, I could say something, but if I say something, I know Jodie likes to pop off. So then I'm going to have to pop off. And Millie was like, yeah, I'm going to have to pop off too. So Sandia's like, no, she'll address it, when she needs to. She wants to say something about it. So in my mind, I thought that Sandia was going to say something to her personally, but then it also sounded like they may address Jodie as a group, which is a bad idea. I don't think that needs to happen. But basically, they just letting her know, we got your back. Well, we don't get really the opportunity to see a one-on-one with Sandia and Jodie, or a group discussion, unless it's coming later in the show, with Jodie and the women and Sandia. Like I said, it might be coming later. I'm still watching. What we do get is a conversation between her and Chris, and then a conversation between her, Chris, Jodie, and Aaron, which I knew was probably going to happen, and that was the third misstep. But give me a minute. I got to put my other screenshots up. This whole scene made me upset, y'all. This whole scene made me upset. So Sandia comes down, and Chris can't wait to ask her, what did the girls pull her to the side for? You already know. That's why I said either he was eavesdropping, or he just automatically assumed that this had something to do with him. So Sandia, y'all, she's so green. She's just like, oh, well, we were talking about you and Jodie and how you guys joke around a lot. And I said, Sandia, I can't even be mad at her, y'all. She just green. How old is she? 28? She acts way younger. Like, she is green, baby. She is green. I don't know. I wonder, this is why I say everybody needs some type of university experience, because a lot of stuff be going down on that college campus. And if you can't get that experience, honey, the Air Force experience is very similar. A lot of stuff be going on that base and that tech school environment. Oh my gosh, it teaches you so much. So I got a little story time. If you don't want to hear it, just scroll. I'm going to give you this opportunity to scroll on further in the review, about 5 minutes or so. because I want to tell y'all a little story time from my own life. Sandia, baby, you never tell the men what y'all talk about, even if you talking about them. Especially if you're talking about them. You never tell the men what y'all talk about, because they are going to twist it in their favor. Here's my story time. So when I was a little young whippersnapper in college, I want to say I had just pledged. So maybe I was 20 or 21, somewhere around there. I had just pledged Delta. And prior to pledging Delta, I was off and on with this guy who I later discovered was Community P. But at the time, I really did not know who he was dealing with, what he was doing. You guys, I was like, I wouldn't say I was nerdy in college, but I wasn't popping. You know, I wasn't a super popular girl. I was on the choir. You know, I wasn't that girl for sure. Now, when you pledge, it opens you up to a world of women, like a whole new environment, a bunch of women, a bunch of men. And a lot of times what y'all end up discussing at some point in your process is who's dealing with who. And it's a lot of women, but not too many men on the college campus. So, you know, just common sense is going to tell you there's going to be some overlap. But at the time, I didn't know what was overlapping prior to me pledging, because I didn't know none of these women, and I didn't really know any of his secrets. You know, I knew he was a good looking guy and a fairly popular guy, but I just really didn't know what was what. Okay. So he was Community P, you know, long story short. But I just really thought he, you know, cared about me and I was the one and all of this other stuff. And, you know, I really wanted to be that girl for him. I did like him, and he showed me a level of attention that I hadn't had before. So all that to say, I liked him, right? So we were off and on. At this point, we might have been on, because he tugged me down at this party. And child, when I say tongue down, I mean tongue down. Everybody was a little tipsy, you know, it was having a good time. And so, of course, other people saw it. Namely, my prophytes. Now, your prophytes are people who are a line ahead of you. Like they brought you over, or they're over the line that brought you over, or whatever. They're a line ahead of you. Several of my prophytes saw it, but two in particular I went out with that night to get some food after the club. Two of my prophytes and my line sister. So they took the opportunity to bring him up to me. I think they was looking out. And they basically just told me, look, he's not really that good of a dude. He has been around. He is well known. He's been with a few of my line sisters, been with a few of her line sisters. And we not telling you what to do, but we are telling you, you need to be careful. So I took that information. I told them, okay. And they asked me how long we had been talking, stuff like that. I was kind of vague in it, because y'all know, being young, you just be like, oh, these girls just mad because I'm with them. Oh, just silly child. So later on, he knew I had went out, to eat with them or whatever. So later on, maybe that next morning or whatever, he had asked me about the rest of my night. And I was like, oh, I went to get something to eat with some of my prophytes. And, they were telling me about you. They were just talking to me about you. And he was just like, well, what was they saying? And I said, oh, they didn't really say nothing. They just asked me if we were talking and how long we had been together. And, just basically saying that you had been with some of their LSs as well. So they was just looking out for me. Real chill, real cool. That was very similar. I can't remember my exact words, but I definitely didn't make it salacious or anything. I was just like, yeah, they was just looking out for me, just let me know to be careful. Right? Which I kind of already knew that anyway. So he gets real hot and bothered. Now on the phone, he act like it ain't no big deal. But he gets very hot and bothered. He get to calling people, calling them, telling them about themselves. I don't even know how he got their number. Now, one of them cussed him completely out. Like, you got the audacity to be calling my phone. And the other one just wasn't really with it. But he trying to go off on people. And later on, once I found out about it, I talked to one of them, the prophyte that I was closer to. I talked to her. I apologized to her. I was like, I'm so sorry. I had no idea he was going to act like that. And she gave me some good advice that very night that I have always kept with me. Hey, in the future, just keep it between us. Just keep stuff on the hush. You ain't got to tell him everything. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I know y'all was just looking out for me. I did not make it seem like, and she was cool. Like she kind of already knew. She was like, girl, I don't care about him. Now the other one, she did not F with me after that. Like she already didn't know me that well. The other one did. Because she was like in a different line. I don't even know if she was still in school anymore. But she did not F with me like that after that. And really still don't, honestly. I don't blame her. I don't blame her. But at the time, I felt very similar to Sandia. I was green. I was young. I'm just telling you what we talked about. I'm not thinking it's going to be no harm, but it's always going to be some harm. They always going to try to twist it in their favor, and they always going to try to make it look like the women are the problem. The women that came to you and told you are the issue, not me. And that's exactly what Chris did, and that's exactly what the community peen guy that I was dealing with did. And no, baby, I do not deal with him no more. We don't even speak, honey. But that's exactly what Chris did. So he tells Sandia, oh, you acting jealous, you being jealous, and I can't stand that jealous stuff. And Sandia's just like, you are always trying to put people down. You always want to put somebody down. Sandia, baby, if somebody is always putting you down, that's a red flag, right? You do understand that, right? That's a red flag. If you feel if what you said is true, then that should be a red flag for you. And he was just like, what are you talking about? I'm not putting you down. I'm not putting you down, but I'm not dealing with that jealousy stuff. Like, that gets on my nerves. It's so aggravating. To add insult to injury to this moment, he calls Jodie in the room. Now, I want y'all to look at how close Jodie is sitting to Sandia. And look at Sandia's posture. Look at her body language. She is clearly uncomfortable. Why are you sitting up on this girl like that? Y'all aren't close like that. Y'all ain't tight. And you are having a discussion with her about something that she feels uncomfortable with regarding the man that she's dealing with. Get up off her. So Chris is telling Jodie, obviously, since me and you got one of the closest connections in the house, like friendship level, between a man and a woman, we gotta have something going on. We gotta be dealing with each other. So they kikiing about that, and he was like, have I ever flirted with you? Have I ever touched you or done anything inappropriate? Jodie, no. Oh my God, no. Listen. Just because y'all sitting in my face saying no don't mean ain't nothing happened. There have been plenty of women that have lied straight to another woman's face, knowing good and full well they was riding her man's face the night before. This don't mean nothing to me. And Sandia is clearly uncomfortable. He is gaslighting the hell out of her. Jodie is gaslighting her as well, in my opinion. Not necessarily with words, but definitely with her actions. Why are you sitting so close to her when she just said some of y'all's interactions are weird and it does make me uncomfortable? At that moment, I would have got my ass up and moved to another chair. Because I'm sure my presence on you like this is uncomfortable. Then she get to pulling her hair back. Girl, if you don't get your... Sandia. Baby, stand up. Stand up. Don't put your hands in my head. To me, I don't know. Something about that was passive aggressive. Y'all tell me if I'm looking too deep into it. Then little Aaron, not the big one, this dumbass sitting over there talking about when you see Chris and Jodie together, you would think maybe something is going on, but there's absolutely nothing going on. They're just friends, and there's nothing wrong with that. Boy, you need to shut up. You need to shut up. And then he adds on that, I'm going to talk about that when I get to the guys part. But hush, Aaron. Just hush. But, yeah, they made Sandia even feel even further, like make her feel uncomfortable. And that really just made me uncomfortable as well. I want Sandia to stand up. And in the future, baby, you'll never tell these men what the girls talked about. Because they will turn it around on you. And that's exactly what Chris did. And then Jodie came right up behind him and said, I believe that these girls are being messy. And Chris was like, because they don't like you. Oh, they don't. They don't like me. Child, now they finna make it about the fact that they don't like Jodie. And maybe they don't, but two things can be true at once. They cannot like Jodie, and y'all's interactions in front of Sandia can also be inappropriate. Sorry, y'all, I'm off my soapbox. Now, after that scene, we get Chris gathering all of the men together in the room so he can ask their opinion, just so he can disagree with their opinion. So he asks their opinion about him and Jodie. Does it look like something is going on? And Big Aaron, not the little one, says that, yeah, upon first glance, it does seem like something might be going on with him and Jodie. It definitely can be misconstrued to be that way, even if that's not what y'all have going on. Chris says he disagrees and he doesn't understand why he's thinking like that. And Aaron's like, look, if somebody is talking to Diamond and they are constantly commenting on her and saying stuff to her, I'm going to think he want her. And Chris was just like, what? Why does that have to be? Like, why do you think that somebody might want, we could just be friends and we could just be generally commenting? And Aaron is just like, do you know how many times, like, we men, right? Do you know how many times I have a woman that's like, you my girl, you could call me, you could do this, you could do that. The whole time I wanted her, I said, well, thank you, Big Aaron, for being honest. That's right. And the other men don't seem to disagree with Aaron. Even Greg says, maybe if your girl is feeling uncomfortable, maybe you kind of want to come off the gas with that situation and not do so much. Josh is like, you need to tie all of this up because it's going to end up being a problem. Chris disagrees with Greg. He feels like that's an insecure take. If he comes off of it now, and let's say, this is what I was hearing. If I let her have her way now, because she feeling some type of way, I'm going to have to always let her have her way. And I don't let nobody have their way. Now, that's not how he worded it. He was basically just like, if I do this now, then every time you have an insecurity, I'm going to have to be the one to solve it. And I don't want to have to do that. You need to settle that within yourself. The bottom line is these women don't like Jodie because Jodie has the strongest connection. We have one of the stronger connections in the house when it comes to a friendship. And Jodie is different. Jodie is the one that agreed with me that night I was talking foolishness. So they flash back to a scene where Chris was talking about dating. And he says that it takes him some time to trust someone. It takes time to open up. And Diamond asked the question, okay, well, when it comes to sex, how are you feeling? He was like, oh, I'm trying to smash on the first date. And she's just like, how you trying to smash on the first date? But when it comes to trust, it's taking you all this time to open up to somebody and reveal yourself to somebody. Jodie talking about, well, see, if we dated more like men did, we wouldn't be getting our feelings hurt. I'm trying to go ahead and smash now. What I'm waiting around for? Oh, really, Jodie? Then why are you trying to take your time with little Aaron, not the big one? If you all that talk, then why you ain't went ahead and smashed little Aaron, not the big one? But you trying to take your time and let stuff happen organic, shout out to Nene, with him. But you sitting in there talking a different story when it come to Chris. Why? Because you want to be not one of those. I'm not like the other girls. You wanted to not like the other girls' situation, but you really ain't about that life either. Or else you and Aaron would have been down to the boom boom room with everybody else. But you ain't did that. And they dapping each other up and carrying on. And all the women looking at Jodie like, you are a fool. And I'm looking at Jodie like, I hate girls that do stuff like that. You know you don't mean none of that stuff you saying. And he is not. Now, this is pick me in action. If you ever needed to see one in action, this is one right here. Because sometimes pick me's get misconstrued. Boy, you can't misconstrue this. That was one right there in the flesh. And he not going to choose you, baby. He not. And Sandia, he ain't gonna choose you either. but don't nobody want to be chosen by no man like this anyway. So that's the reason all the women don't like her, apparently, because she just different. Silly. And then little Aaron gonna say, Jodie is a really outspoken woman. She keeps it real. And if she liked Aaron, if she felt like she wanted to deal with him, she definitely would let it be known. Well, if she's so outspoken, little Aaron, why she ain't told you that she don't like you? Because you know she don't like you, right? Oh, okay. All right, y'all. This is going to be a long review. So, Brandon and Sienna. Now, at first I was wondering why Brandon still had his sparse-headed ass there, but I later found out that they was going to meet with Rashonda. And so this is the meeting. I want you to notice Brandon's body language. Brandon still likes her. I think Brandon still has some respect for her. But spoiler alert, I want to let you guys know that in the end, Brandon said that there is nothing to salvage romantically with the two of them. And I was very proud of him for doing so. I was very proud of him for standing up. There's nothing there. He's looking for a wife at the end of the day. He is not dating just to date. So he doesn't feel there's nothing to salvage. But the conversation they have with Rashonda, Sienna comes out there as if she's ready to patch things up and make it all new. She says, I'm a person that can get over things, and that's your damn problem. You can cut up the fool and then the next day act like nothing happened. And all of the normal people, those of us with the normal mindset, we not having it. So she sits in front of Rashonda and acts like everything is good. And Brandon said, oh, no, we've been having some ups and downs. So Rashonda wants to know about these ups and downs. Now, Sienna describes it as kind of like when we talk about the future, we just kind of got a difference of opinion and things get heated. Brandon says the problem with them is communication. She don't listen. And that's a turn off for him. If they could get that listening right, things might could go a whole lot better. Right then, Rashonda gets to see a little bit of glimpse of Sienna's crazy. Sienna says, I just feel like you're full of shit right now because the stuff that you're accusing me of doing, you do the same things. And like the stuff I asked you for is so simple. Rashonda's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Now I'm witnessing what he's talking about. You need to dial it down a little bit. You're doing the most. You're very defensive. You get very angry. And if you keep this kind of thing going, you're going to destroy everything in your path, which is actually really good advice to give her. Sienna comes out with the I'm independent line. And I said, hell no. Hell no. I am so tired of people using that. Ladies, if you're using it for yourself, please stop. I don't like when men do it. Well, you independent and you strong. Let me tell you guys something. I've been out my house since I was 17. Went to college, had roommates, got my own place, came to Texas with no family. I know what it means to be independent. But you being independent does not mean that you are automatically going to be an asshole, that you are automatically not a team player, that you automatically don't know how to act. And I hate when people put those labels, especially on a woman who has been doing for herself. If she not doing for herself, who the hell else gonna do it? If I'm not paying my bills and wiping my own behind, who else gonna do it? I got to do it. I go to work so that I can do for myself. You know what that's called? An adult. That's what that's called. Not a strong, independent bitch. Those are personality traits that develop over time. And guess what? I know some bitches that's married. I know some that's got children. There's bitches in all walks of life with a bad attitude, male and female. So that doesn't really have anything to do with those personality traits. Now, do I have empathy for the fact that Sienna grew up her and Rashonda start talking about where the areas they grew up in? I understand there's a difference between growing up in like an inner city and a person who grew up in like a suburb or like myself in the country. Yes, it was a different way of living, but it wasn't tough. You know, I didn't have to develop any type of exterior to go through day-to-day life. And maybe Sienna did. And I do have a level of empathy for that. But I believe that if you want to be softer, if you want to experience a different type of attitude, you do the work to do those things. And I don't believe Sienna has done that. And I don't believe she cares to do it. I really don't. Because even when she's talking to Rashonda, to say, well, I've been independent and I've been on my own for a long time, to me is excuses. I believe that I've been on my own for a long time too. It don't give me a right to yell at no man and call him a bitch. That has nothing to do with me being on my own. That has nothing to do with me paying my own bills or living on my own. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Now, if you got some childhood trauma and some other stuff, okay, let's address that though. Let's get that addressed before we start going off on everybody and expecting them to be able to handle it because we have had our experiences. Another thing, they start talking about like masculinity and femininity or something along those lines, and how she's been in her masculine for a long time. First of all, I've told you guys 100 times, if you do any type of research, you will know we are all supposed to have a balance of both. That's first thing. Second thing is, if we truly want to talk about femininity, we got to exclude men from the equation for a little bit. Because if you truly want to tap into your femininity, it has everything to do with how you feed yourself, how you interact with yourself, how you love yourself. It involves a lot of shadow work. Tapping into that energy can be a very painful experience because you got to get into a lot of stuff that you don't talk about, that you don't deal with. Has very little to do with men, honestly. Now, the results of tuning into your femininity, the result of that will change how you interact with men, but it will first change how you interact with yourself. So I get really tired of people throwing around, oh, she in her masculine, she in her feminine, he in his this, he in his that. Because if you truly did the research, you would know it has very little to do with minuscule things like who taking the trash out. Baby, my mama take her trash out every so often as well. And she is a married woman who is in her feminine. I am a woman who is in mine. And I take my trash out just like that has to do with being an adult. Really. I mean, it's just so crazy the things that we assign. We assign certain traits and behaviors, and we really don't know what masculine and feminine is. We really don't. And it really pisses me off. Honey, these folks is teaching y'all don't know nothing about it. Do your own research. Read a book. Awakening the Master Feminine is a great one. They have Awakening the Master Masculine, another great one. I will read them both. Taught me a whole lot. Queen of Fui, what's Queen of Fui's book? That's another good one. But anyway, all in all, Sienna act like she ready to try it again. Brandon says, oh no, not so fast. There's nothing to salvage here. And we can move on to the next part of the show because I'm sick of this. Now in another keep it real moment with Rashonda. She wants to know how Jodie and Aaron are doing. Jodie says she having problems in the house. She feel like people are being catty, talking about her and Chris. And Rashonda was like, oh, well, do you and Chris have a connection? And Jodie is just like, no, we're just friends. She asks Aaron how he feels, and Aaron is just like, I believe that they're just friends. And, this is it's a very weird take to say that men and women can't be friends. That definitely can be a dynamic. And Rashonda is looking at both of them like both of y'all full of it. As a matter of fact, she pretty much tell them, y'all act like me and my bestie. We sleep in different rooms and everything. Do you guys believe that there's a real connection here? Jodie says, I think so. No, there's no connection there. Aaron says he thinks that after a few more dates, they can form more of a genuine connection. And Jodie was just like, I just want things between us to go slow and it to happen really, like it be really genuine and us to form that genuine connection. What happened to sleeping with him on the first date, Jodie? I thought you didn't like to waste your time. Go ahead and have sex with him then. Since you saying all that, you don't like to waste your time to be forming no connection and find out it might not be good. So go ahead and have sex with him today. That's what I thought, child. They ain't got no connection. All right. So next we have, how I forget her name, Millie. Her sister comes and they have a discussion about just the connection between her and Greg, but they really more so talk about Millie. And the sister is just like, it's okay to be with somebody and respect them, but also not losing your voice in the process. It's okay to speak up. And that kind of made Millie emotional. She starts talking about how she's deserving of love and things are going to be okay. And you kind of wonder why Millie is getting so emotional. And when her sister says you have to find somebody that's going to stick with you through the hard times, Millie says, but nobody wants to stick with each other through the hard times. I mean, like she immediately snaps her head up like nobody wants to stick with each other through the hard times. And how do I know somebody's going to stick with me through the hard times? Like, how am I going to make myself the best person for Greg? Or maybe just nobody wants to stick with me. And I was like, okay, Millie got some stuff going on. Her sister comes to her aid. She's holding her. She's like, hold on now. You're doing too much. You're spazzing out. I'm here for you. Things are going to be okay. And Millie reveals at that time that she's been raped. But she wants everybody to know she's not bitter about it. I'm concerned, y'all. I'm concerned about Millie because Millie is giving the vibes that she's never going to be good enough for a partner. Like she's tainted. That's kind of how she's talking. And because nobody has ever stuck beside her through her hard times and her trauma, maybe she's not going to have anybody. Maybe she's not deserving of anybody the way that her sister is saying. Like maybe she don't believe that. Were y'all getting that vibe from Millie? I felt bad for her though. I mean, that's terrible. I can't even imagine experiencing that. And she knows that she wants to reveal that to Greg. Maybe she thinks that it might scare him off, but she does let us know that that's the thing. Like that's the thing she has to reveal. The sister ends up talking to Greg. They had a cool conversation. He talks about things he likes about Millie. And he asks his sister, what can I do to get closer to her? What can I do to have, he said, full access to my, I hated the term that he used. Because I don't know why it just sounded like, what can I do to, bust them walls down? But I know what he meant. And she said, just listen to her. And small gifts here and there are really good. She's working on it. She is. It's something she's working on. And Greg wants to, those emotional walls, he wants Millie to let those down for him. So then he brings his mom in, cute little lady. And he says he hasn't introduced anybody to his mother in 6 years. So this must be a very serious thing. But he wants his mom to like Lily. He wants his mom to get to know Lily. And he wants everybody to see that he really is serious. Like he can see Millie's sister being his sister-in-law and all of that. Like he want everybody to know he for real. So let me watch the rest of what happened with his mom. All right. So Greg tells Chris, get it together. Christy is his mom's name. But Greg tells his mom how much he likes her. One of the things that he told his mom was that he feels like Millie challenges him, and he told the sister that as well, and that's what he likes the most about her. She's not a pushover. She's strong. She's an alpha female, as he says. And his mom says, I was concerned about you for a while. You were in and out of relationships, and you were looking for what they could bring to you, and not really realizing that you needed to look within yourself to see what you could bring, like what you brought in a relationship and what you brought to yourself. You had to do a lot of inner work. And I was glad the mom said that. Greg took a lot of accountability when he was just like, a lot of the reason that we probably haven't met is because I wasn't the man that I needed to be. I wasn't ready. I had a lot of work to do within myself. I'm more responsible now, and I'm a different man. So that was really good to hear. She does end up meeting Millie. Millie talks about how much she does like Greg and how she can tell that the mom has done a great job with Greg. They hug, and the mom does give it her stamp of approval, which is what Greg was looking for. And so he's really excited about that. And guess we just gonna see where it goes. Y'all feeling it? Y'all think Greg is genuine or what? I know y'all got y'all thoughts, so y'all tell me what y'all think. I mean, I think it seems okay so far. I'm concerned though. I am really worried about Millie, like truly worried about her. Cause she says she's not bitter, but maybe she's not bitter, but she seems to be very broken by some of her situations. So I'm concerned about her. This man is a big old wide hemorrhoid having asshole. So look at his body language. Now, I'm no expert, but look at his language. Look at hers. Brandon had more care and concern in his body language towards Sienna, and she done turned him every which way but loose. So when they sit down in front of Rashonda and she asks how they're doing, Sandia does bring up the situation between him and Jodie. She asks, do they have any type of connection, to which Chris denies. They have no connection at all. And his problem with Sandia is her mood swings. 1 minute she's up, 1 minute she's down, and he ain't really got time to be catering to nobody mood swings. Like, that's a problem with you. Sienna says that their main problem is communication. They need to communicate better. She feels like when she brings stuff up to him, he doesn't care. Like, he almost treats her why do we have to talk about this? And when asked if this is true, he says that he feels like her feelings a lot of the times are not valid. Sandia, I don't know what other way other than slapping you in your damn face somebody can say that they do not care about you or what you think. And Rashonda is so taken aback, like, is it Rashonda or Rashandra? I don't care. She basically just like, wait a minute now, sir, her feelings are valid. And she was like, no, I don't agree with that. He said, I don't agree with that. If somebody walks up to you and says that you're a cheater and I say I'm not cheating, then how is that feeling valid? Because I'm not doing it and I'm not going to keep telling you. And she was like, that may not be true. That may not be what you're doing, but the feeling is valid. When somebody says a feeling is valid, that means that feeling is real and authentic. What is going on in that moment is real and authentic to them. You so damn smart, you're dumb. That's what my feelings are valid means. Just like your feelings are valid. The way you're feeling right now is valid. The way she's feeling right now is valid. And then you have to take a moment to match. That's what communication comes in. You take that moment to match that up with the current reality to see if that's really true. If your perception of things is really true. But what you feel in that moment, that's a valid feeling. Yes, it is. And it needs to be discussed so we can see if the reality is true. You dumbass. So as they carry on, he just continues to disrespect her, telling her feelings ain't valid, telling her, look, like, that's an insecurity within you. If you feel like I'm putting you down, that's a you problem. And I don't really feel like I need to do anything regarding that. That's something in you. You've asked me to be more considerate. Have I not been more considerate? If this is the definition of consideration, keep that considerate away from me. I don't know what more Sandia needs. You're sitting there crying, but then you turn around and say, well, we got some of the same values. We both Haitian. That's what Chris said, actually. And somebody in my comments said she might be holding on to this relationship because they're both of the same culture. Does being in the same culture, is it Haitian culture for a man to treat you like a doormat, tell you your feelings are not valid, and make you feel inferior? Because if so, that shouldn't be a part of the culture that you want, Sandia. That shouldn't be a generational curse that you want to continue. Because you look broken right now. Nobody should be. I don't understand people. If you feeling like this in the beginning of a relationship, just leave. Just leave. This is a sign of worse things to come. These supposed to be the fun times, the good times. Somebody already making you feel like this is a no, baby. It is a complete no. Oh my gosh, it's hard to watch. But he talking about she's sweet, she's this, she's that. Well, if she's all those things, treat her as such. Treat her as such. And I don't know what he's been through in his past either. He clearly has been through some things. He brought some stuff up. But again, just like I told Sienna, that don't give you an excuse to be a whole asshole. Go home. Listen, one thing about Miss Diamond, if she get in your business, she gonna stand on it. So when they get back in the house, Jodie asks Chris what happened, and Chris is just like, I just feel like a lot of people in here are just being messy and getting in each other's business, and I don't really got time for that. Like, they getting in her ear, and like, I don't got time for this simple-minded stuff, and she just believing it and all of this. Diamond can't hold her tongue no more. So she turned around and she was just like, well, it's not just that. She has confided in people. And he was like, I'm not gonna argue. She said, it's not an argument, it's facts. And he was like, no, that's your opinion. How can her confiding in people be an opinion? I mean, if she did it, she did it. So Chris is just like, he feels like said people are getting in Sandia's head. Jodie yells out, it's all a lie. I'm tired of people talking about me behind my back. And then when I say something, y'all been talking. But now that I'm hearing y'all face, y'all not saying nothing. And I'm going to have to agree with Jodie, even though I wanted somebody to turn around and beat her up. But nobody said anything. The only person who really stood on it was Diamond and said that things were going on between y'all and other people was talking about it. All right. So, well, it looked like something was going on between y'all and other people was talking about it. Aaron gonna turn around and try to get in it. Little Aaron, at least he said more than Big Aaron, talking about, well, why you have to say that right now while she was cooking? Why Chris had to say something now while y'all was cooking? Because he really the one that got it started. He wanted somebody to say something to him. That's why he was talking out loud the way that he was. But ain't nobody gonna look at him. We gonna look at Diamond. Nobody had Diamond's back. I agree with Diamond on that. And I hope Diamond realizes now you and Big Aaron need to mind y'all damn business. This is why I said y'all needed to quit being everybody's smooth ass auntie and uncle. Because at the end of the day, when you are outspoken, a lot of times people do not have your back. And Diamond had to learn that the hard way. And I'm sure it's not the first time she experienced it. She even told Big Aaron, you didn't have my back when I was in there. All of y'all been saying something though. And everybody was quiet. They end up going to eat in the boom boom room with Shay and Josh. They the only two nasty pokes that's a bit up in there with toe sucking and rubbing and all of that. So they eat in there, separate from everybody else. Big Aaron in there doing all that talking. You wasn't doing that talking when Jodie was asking what it was about, though. And I really wish everybody, Millie, you too. In the end, you sitting down talking about, well, I just think, we all just need to calm down. No, you need to say what you said. Y'all scared of Jodie? Go ahead and say what you said. You need to say what you said, because if anybody should have said something, it really should have been Diamond and Millie, because they the ones that decided to pull Sandia to the side. So they firmly put their foot up in it. Now, I was on the fence with whether or not they should do it, but if you gonna do it, stand in it. And Diamond did. Nobody else did. And I definitely feel like Millie should have. Big Aaron, because that's his woman, perhaps, he should have had their back. Should have had Diamond's back. I do kind of see where she was coming from there. And then Big Aaron, for you to have your messy self in there doing all that talking when y'all get to the boom boom room. He talking about, I ain't say nothing because you had it. No. But Millie, you definitely was very quiet. And you one of the ones that pulled her to the side. So I definitely feel like you should have said something. Even Lil Aaron had his girl back than anybody else did. And then Chris gonna say, I feel like Sandia should be listening to me. She letting all these people get in her head. She need to be listening to me and what I say. What the hell she need to listen to your ass for? You don't even believe her feelings are valid. Sandia, baby, you got to stand up. I don't know if you grew up sheltered. I don't know what's going on. But Chris, I see they got the narcissist expert on there next week. Was that Dr. Remedy? It looked like her. But I just, No, you don't need to be listening to him. This episode pissed me off. I got a headache. I can't even talk about it no more. Like, comment, and subscribe. Y'all have a good night.